Here at Wildfire, we basically do boat restorations, and the name Wildfire came about by accident. I bought a race boat that I had raced with another friend of mine. It was called Wild Bill's Express, and the boat caught fire during a race, and so he was going to sell it. So I bought the boat, and after restoring it, I was trying to come up with a name for the boat, and the girl I happened to be going out with at the time was a hardcore sailor. And she said, well, it's bad luck to change the name of a boat. And we both looked at her and said, what are you talking about? The boat just burned in a water line. And so she kind of came up with the name and said, well, why don't you keep part of the name and call it Wildfire for a goof? And we just kept it. When I went into business, I just kept it. After racing the first 2 years with that, the 28 Checkmate that had burned, I decided I wanted to get into racing a catamaran. And at the time, I happened to see this wooden boat magazine with a race boat on the front. And it was a couple of brothers from Connecticut. They had a boat called Jesse James, which is a really famous offshore race boat. And they had one built out of wood. And I was reading a sidebar and I thought, you know, I'm a carpenter, I could do this. And so I went ahead and started building a boat. And the first one really, I mean, it ran, it did fairly well. It was a good learning process. And I always wanted to build another performance boat, not necessarily to race, but I did want to build a performance catamaran. And so that's what we decided to build. And it's a little intimidating when you back up to the shop door and you drop $5,000 worth of Okumi plywood on the floor, 1/4-inch plywood, and the stack is only about 7 inches tall. And you just drop, you know, $8,000 on material. And then a bunch of rolls of fiberglass and epoxy resin. But, you know, like my father always said, if you got to do something, just do it. And that's what I did. And as it went along, it actually started to kind of snowball. And I did it entirely with just my wife and myself, which is another great process. I mean, the hardest part was the fact that even though it's our passion, it doesn't pay the bills. We still have to do all the customer boats. And so we continued to work on customers and push this off to the side and work on it as much as we could, which is namely Saturdays, Sundays, and every other day.
It was hard, you know, and I mean, we got on each other's nerves because we were working ungodly hours on weekends, but we still had to run Wildfire, so, you know, the business.
Like my wife always tells people, if we built a boat and 2 houses and we're still together, evidently we did something right.
He does his thing, you know, working with the fiberglass and whatnots, and I like working with electric. It was both of us working it, you know, like, you know, I would throw a suggestion out and we'd look at it and it might not work that way, and then he would throw a suggestion. So, you know, it was a compromise and it really turned out fantastic.
Finally, after about 8 years, we're finally at the point where we have to dial the boat in as far as engine heights and props, and that is a very tedious project. If we get above 90, I'd be happy because it's a garage built by 2 people. You know, this isn't a $1 million project. When I built this boat, I probably had $15,000 worth of materials in it, and the rest is all our labor. So it's more of a labor of love. We just wanted to do something. Now that Carlissa is here, I mean, it's great going out on the boat with her. She's so excited about going out. She loves the boat. At first I thought, well, we're gonna have to go really slow because it'll be scary and everything. It's not the case at all. I mean, she just loves the boat. She doesn't care if it's doing 2 or if it's doing, 80. She just loves being in the boat.
Pop lays down the throttles, you know, she sits down and she just enjoys. She loves the wind blowing through her curls.
Overall, I mean, we're really happy with the boat, the way it turned out. I mean, we're glad we really took our time, and we're really happy the way it runs out on the water. So I really would like to build another one, all completely exposed wood. I think it'd be great. I think it'd really be an attention getter, that's for sure.